Today I'm telling you all about how I don't balance it all. Here we go. Hi, I'm Jessica Valant, a physical therapist and Pilates teacher, and I want to bring science-based knowledge, empathy, courage, support, love, and hopefully some fun to the journeys we have with our bodies. There is hope and strength in your body, and my goal is to help you find it. Hi, and thanks for stopping in. I am so happy to talk with you today. I think we took last week off, and I am so happy to be back. I've missed putting on these headphones and just chatting with you. I love this longer form way to talk. I only wish that you could talk back. That's all. I wish that you could ask questions in real time and we could chat. And today is a little bit like that, only in that I'm considering it kind of a coffee talk. So I don't have all my usual notes that I usually have. I don't have a lot of science I'm going to share with you. We're not talking about injuries. We're talking about something that has actually come up quite a few times to me, usually through my direct messages on Instagram, sometimes through Facebook, occasionally through emails. And it's a subject that I'm really passionate about. So I wanted to bring it up here. And it's the idea that I do it all somehow. And I think that that is a common kind of idea that we have around people that we see on social media nowadays. And I know that I have the same feeling around so many of my colleagues and people I follow and mentors, people that I really kind of get most of my information online about, or I see curated pictures. I tend to think, oh, wow, they do it all. How can they do that? I can't imagine being able to do all those things. And it happened the other day because I had posted, and I think it was a weekend day, but I had posted a lot of things on my stories that day. And I had someone, and it's a wonderful member, so you might be listening. Thank you so much for the DM. I love it when you guys reach out, so don't ever hesitate to do it. And I actually love the lessons and the thoughts that I get from them. So commonly, I will share kind of my thoughts around that out in public because I think so many of us are thinking the same things. So this comment or this DM was basically saying, wow, your days are so full. I don't know how you get all that done, or I don't know how you do it all. And like I said, it's not a new comment that I've heard, and I know I have those thoughts around other people, so I really want to address it today, this idea that we think people can do it all, and maybe some people will say they can. There probably are some people out there, and actually, I know there are because I see people teach it. I see programs that you can buy that tell you how to get it all done, right, in a single day, and I'm here to tell you that I can't get it all done. I'm here to tell you that social media is curated. I'm here to tell you that we are all in the same boat. So I don't get all of it done. And many times I feel like I am spinning plates and multiple plates are dropping at once, multiple crashing down around me. And so I really want to kind of dispel that idea that any of us can do it all. But especially me personally, because that's what the DM was about. So first, I just want to say that. And then today, what I'm going to do is talk to you a little bit about how I do plan my days. So there's a couple kind of main themes around that, just in case it's helpful for you. So I will talk about those things. I'm going to tell you what I'm missing, what I feel like those plates are that are getting dropped. I will be transparent and honest with you about that and what I feel like isn't getting done in this season of life for me. And then we'll kind of talk about, again, just wrapping up with that idea that it's okay if we can't get it done during all seasons of life. And I want to start by touching on this idea, and it's come out in a few books over the past couple years especially. And gosh, I almost have to look at my bookcase to tell you which book it is, but I think it's a book called, I'm actually looking behind me at my bookcase. Yes, it's a book called Why We Can't Sleep, and it's by Ada Calhoun, I believe. I don't have my reading glasses on, but Ada Calhoun, and it's called Why We Can't Sleep. And it's a really interesting book that actually talks about women. And so I'm 45 years old, I'm Gen X, and it talks specifically actually around Gen X women and why we can't sleep. But it goes into really interesting concept around how we were the first generation to really be told you can do it all and you can have it all, right? So I know that my mom was actually a working mom. My mom's a baby boomer. She was a working mom, but that wasn't necessarily extremely common back then. So this brings up a lot of statistics and research around how Gen X and women, especially girls, we were girls at that time, and we were the first generation really being told specifically and marketed to, saying you can have it all, you can do it all, you can have the kids and the career and break the glass ceiling and travel the world and be a great partner and be an independent woman and go work out. You can do it. And I remember being told that. I mean, absolutely, that was a lesson I grew up with. Very empowering parents, and I remember that. And the idea of it is empowering, right? When you think about it, yeah, I can have it all. But this book started to talk about how that has ended up being a little bit of a detriment to us because we feel like we should be doing it all. We feel, and again, this is women of this generation, just the research they've done and the interviews they've performed with people, really talk about how it's actually led us to think that we are failing because we can't do it all. We have tried. We have tried to have the kids and tried to have the career and tried to do it all. And what we end up feeling is that we're just failing at all of it. And that really resonated with me because I believe there's truth to it. And again, we are all different. So some of you listening absolutely can do all of this and succeed. And that's amazing. I will just say personally that has resonated with me because I remember a very specific moment. This is the moment that I knew actually that I was going to sell my Pilates studios. Our daughter was 1 year old. And I had just moved to California. Our family had. My husband was out of town, so I was at home by myself with our 1 year old. I didn't know anyone, and I was still running my studios in Hawaii. So I was trying to run them from afar, from thousands of miles away. And I got a call on the phone that some students, they actually had my cell phone number, and they were locked out of the studio in Hawaii. And I was in California, but they were locked out for a class that was supposed to start right that moment. And the instructor wasn't there. And I remember talking to this person, and our daughter was on the floor and had just pulled herself up my leg, saying up, up. She wanted to get up. And I couldn't lift her up because I was on the phone trying to deal with this. It was an emergency situation. I was trying to deal with that, and she started crying. And I was just going back and forth, looking at my phone, listening to this student who had a very real problem that needed to be solved, looking down at our daughter who was crying, who had a very real problem that needed to be solved, meaning pick me up. And in that moment, I felt, I can't do this. I can't be everything to everyone. I have tried. My gosh, I have tried hard. And I feel like a failure in this moment, but I have to pick one. And that was a real eye-opening moment for me of accepting who I am and the place I am in, and knowing that I am going to have to make some choices. Can we have it all? Yes. Are we necessarily meant to have it all the time? I don't know. And I don't know if that's a bad thing necessarily, because in that moment, it forced me to choose priorities. Okay, I got off the phone. I think we put out the fire and dealt with the situation, but I got off the phone, hugged my daughter, and I knew I can't have a moment like that again. I can't, where I cannot fix either problem in real time. So I knew, like, having that priority, going through that situation, it made a choice for me. And that choice was I have to sell my studios because they deserve better. They deserve someone who can be there all the time for them. And my daughter deserves someone who can be there for her. And again, was she fine? Yes. If my husband had been there and could pick her up, yes, it was all fine. But I just remember that moment very distinctly, being pulled in both directions. And that, while it might sound defeating to say that, like, oh, we can't have it all, I don't mean it that way. I actually mean it in a good way, because again, it frees up space and it takes so much pressure off of myself. Because when I think, oh, I can have it all, I think I should. I feel like I should be working constantly to have it all. and realizing that it's okay if I don't, because I don't need all of it to be happy. I don't need all of that big, shiny, bright object to fulfill what I'm meant to do on this planet. I don't need all of it. And also realizing, like I always talk about, the season of life will come back around where my kids won't need me as much and something else will open up. And so that idea, working very consciously with that thought, has just felt like so much freedom to me, that I don't have to give everyone everything all the time, because I can let other people do it. Other people can step in with their brilliance and do something even better than I was trying to do halfway, right? It allows me to know what my yeses are and what my nos are. It allows me to take pleasure in kind of even being present more. So that was kind of, like I said, this is a coffee chat, guys. So I'm going to ramble a little bit. So that was kind of a tangent and rambling, but that was really that moment. And then kind of hearing that in this book, really reading about how it was kind of a disservice for us to be told, hey, you have to do it all. Sometimes we need to ask ourselves if we should. So if you're in that place of, feeling really bad, feeling discouraged, feeling ashamed, guilt, any of that, that's what I want to take away. That's why I'm here to tell you I don't do it all whatsoever, because none of us should feel any of those feelings. We should embrace what is important to us, not decide that other people doing things should make it important to us. We should decide truly what's important to us. We should understand what our priorities are. And sometimes that's a lot of work. And I don't say that flippantly. It's hard to know what your priorities are. And I think it's absolutely normal for them to change and for us to question them. But having an idea will help. And again, just knowing that there is freedom in all of that. So let me tell you a few things. I'll move on now to a few things that I do. Again, not because I feel like I want to do it all, but because there are things in a real life that need to be done. There's a list of things that I can't just put in the trash can and say, okay, I have a life of freedom now. I'm not going to do that. I still have to do quite a few things, as I'm sure you do. So I'll talk about how I prioritize them. And then, like I said, I'll talk a little bit about what does get left behind, because right now some things do. And that's okay. All right. So the first thing that I do to help, and keep in mind, some of the reason these things are here is because I have been through that season. What I just told you, that moment was a real clarifying moment for me. And then we also went through a season, and me personally, especially through 2019 and into 2020. I mean, I know the whole world went through a moment, but leading up to that, I had added a lot of work projects. I had started a really big new work project in addition to Unlimited. So it was a whole separate work project that was very, very involved. My father-in-law died suddenly. We were taking care of my mother-in-law then, who had Alzheimer's. That was the start of our caretaking journey. So I was literally trying to do it all. And then we had a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old, and then I had my hysterectomy. And I, not realizing it at the time, because again, you can listen to previous podcast episodes where I talk about what chronic stress will do to our bodies. It isn't always immediate. So at the time, I just thought, this is just what you do, right? I can do it all, and I'm supposed to do it all, and this is my job to do it all, so I will do it all. And it wasn't until about a year later that I really started to see the manifestation of that kind of stress in my life and how it was showing itself. And so it took a few years to unravel some of those things and just figure them out, because it wasn't easy for me to pinpoint, because I also love all of these things. I need to say that, like, I love my job. I adore my job. It's all I wanted to do since I was 14 years old, is be a physical therapist. And now I get to do that plus all these awesome things. So I wouldn't ever want to give that up. Obviously, my family is number one to me. That's not going to be given up. There's a lot of things. This project, Momentum Fest, was a part of it. These projects I love. I love my colleagues. I love teaching in real life. I love teaching workshops. I love being involved in my kids' school. So it's not easy to kind of recalibrate. So it took me a while to pinpoint what I was feeling, why I was feeling it, where it was coming from. And then it took me a really long time to start to feel okay with letting some of it go. I had to go through a lot of mourning, a lot of, again, kind of shame and feeling like a failure, right? When we let things go or say we don't have time, it feels bad. It doesn't feel good all the time. The freedom will come, like I mentioned, but in the short term, it doesn't feel great. So all of that kind of led to where I am now. So the reason I told you all that is because, like I said, going back to it, we do have a list of things we have to get done as human beings. We do have people who rely on us for things, projects, work, bosses, kids, family. We caretake for people. So those things need to get done. And what I try to do now is do it in a way where I'm very conscientious about my energy levels, about my energy output, about my feelings around it, of again, shame, defeat, those kind of things, and my nervous system. I was in fight or flight for a long time and got myself way too busy and didn't sleep, and it caused a lot of anxiety, and I'm still picking my way out of that. So these 3 strategies I'm going to tell you help me to get the things done that need to get done on any given day, while also protecting my energy and my nervous system, which are really important things to me. And also being aware that you all are busy too. Yes, I have a lot going on, but you do too, I am sure. I don't have any more than I feel like most people out there. I have 2 kids in elementary school. My husband owns his own business. I own my own business. And that's pretty much where a lot of you are. A lot of you are caretaking for people in your life. A lot of you travel for work. A lot of you are working on a promotion. A lot of you are in college and studying for a degree. We are all busy. So I don't, for any reason, want it to come across or want you to believe that I am busier than you are. Again, it will be in different seasons of life. We were a lot busier when my mother-in-law had just started kind of her journey with Alzheimer's, and we were thrust into that. There are seasons that have felt busier to me than this one is, and I know they will come back, and that's the way it works for all of us. But these strategies, I'm hoping, will carry me forward when that season comes again. Okay, so the first strategy is that I prioritize, and I'm going to explain what that means because I know it sounds like a just big abstract term, but I am an Enneagram 6. It's okay if you don't know what that is. But if you do know Enneagrams, 6s, we are planners. And I tell you what, I can plan with the best of them. So it actually is, I consider it one of my superpowers. So when it works really well, it's great. I am very good at thinking 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 steps ahead. I can see what needs to be done step by step to get us where we need to be a week from now. And that goes for if I have a launch for Unlimited. It goes for planning my daughter's birthday. I will start thinking a month ahead, and I can know step by step when I need to have things ordered, when I need to do it. And so it makes that day a lot easier. So that is one thing that I do. And that being said, it also can be a little detrimental when your brain works that way, because I am always thinking 10 steps ahead. So I can definitely get stuck in my head and in planning. And I wake up in the middle of the night and I have to shut my brain off. And so that's something I'm working on. But the good side of it is that I can think strategically through that step by step. Now, how I do that, one is I write things down. I write everything down. And what helps me too, if you do have a brain that's always going, or if you have a lot of thoughts and you can't quite put them together, because that happens with me sometimes, that I almost get so crazy with planning in my head that I don't even know how to put them all together. Do something called a brain dump. Just get a piece of paper and write down everything in your brain. Dump it down on that piece of paper. It is so freeing. I can't even tell you how good it feels to get it out, because you will, for me at least, I can get myself feeling really anxious about how much there is to do. And how am I going to do it all? And I don't know. And if I just write it down, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. So write it down, do a brain dump, then decide what's actually important, because some of that stuff probably isn't that important. Write down what is important or pull it out. And then, so I have that big list. And then I have a planner, both places. I have it on my phone and I have a notebook. And so I write down literally what needs to be done that day, and I check it off. And it seems simple, but it is so helpful to me. I mean, I even write down things like, okay, at 5:00, I'll be in the car taking this child to this place. And then at 5:30, I'll be back, and I have 5:30 to 6 to make dinner. And then we have to eat from 6 to 6:30, and then this and that. And not every day is like that. Okay. A lot of days are just blank, especially in the summer. I am not that way about planning meals. I'll say that right now. I'm not a big meal planner or anything. But in the times that I feel anxious, keeping it that way on my notes that I can check it off, it just makes me feel like the day is doable. Like if I have that written down ahead of time, it takes this overwhelming feeling and just brings it down because I'm like, oh, I can do that. I have time to do that. I just didn't feel like I did. But of course I have time to get to the grocery store and then get back to my daughter's school for her conference. I just needed to figure it out. So that helps me the most, both with kind of my anxiety feeling around getting it all done and then literally just the logistical planning of it. So like I said, brain dump occasionally as you need to. Then I keep my daily planner and I keep it open to the week and just have each day written down the things that kind of need to get done. And that helps me a lot. Even if, let's say you have a trip coming up Saturday or something coming up, write down each day something you can do for that trip so that you're ready to go when it comes. So that's kind of my planning piece to that and how it helps me to keep my days organized. Oh, and then the last piece is I use the notes application on my phone all the time. So if I'm out and about or just upstairs with the kids and realize, oh, I have to get that at the store, I just pull up my phone and write it down. I'm going to know what I need to get. And that helps me, again, just be efficient. So I'm not making multiple trips places. So I don't have to make multiple orders of things, whatever it is. I have a constant list going of workout ideas for unlimited. I just have constant lists. And again, it just helps me stay efficient and stay organized. All right, the next thing that helps me, I kind of touched on already at the beginning when I told you some of the stories that had affected me, especially as it relates to our kids when they were young, is having an overarching priority, one that takes precedence over everything else. And for me, it is my family. And I remember the moment our daughter was born, again, it was this idea of like taking pressure off because I felt, oh, I don't have to make all these choices anymore or feel afraid of disappointing people because she's my choice. Like if all other things are equal, it's always going to be her that I choose, something for her. And at the time, I didn't quite understand why I felt that way, meaning like, why does this feel really good to know this? And now I know it's simply because when you have a priority that you don't have to apologize for, that you feel secure in, that you feel empowered in, that you feel really safe in, when you have that priority that you know is just a part of you, it makes decision making so much easier. And for me, that's what can feel hard is choosing between this and this, right? A and B, or who am I going to disappoint or that's always so hard for me. I'm always thinking about, well, I don't want to disappoint this person. I don't want to disappoint this person. But when it comes to that, I might feel bad, absolutely, if someone is disappointed, but I don't have to feel bad about my choice because I know if it's choosing my family, it was made in the right place. I'm coming from the right place because that's my choice. And it was that way again for my mother-in-law. When my father-in-law passed away quickly and we took over her care, that was it. Like we had a lot of choices to make, but I knew that her care superseded other things. It superseded trips that we were taking for a couple years. Like those got canceled, but it wasn't a question because family had been made my priority a long time ago. And a recent example actually is I was invited to teach a workshop. I really want to teach this workshop desperately. Like I said already, I love my colleagues. They are my friends. I was going to travel for this one. I was really excited for it and it had to get changed already, had to get rescheduled. So I got the email just a couple days ago. I'm like, yes, I'm in. And I saw the dates and it is the weekend of our daughter's birthday. And so I didn't have to read anything else. I didn't even have to think it through or make a pro and con list. I didn't have to have the stress of deciding because that's an easy no for me. Well, I shouldn't say easy. It's hard because I'll miss being there. I really wish I could be there, but it's not something I have to spend time deciding. That's a no. And so when you have whatever it is for you, and it can be so many different things, it just happens to be family for me, my kids, my husband. And so it helps me in that way, knowing what your that overarching priority will help guide a choice, which allows you to say yes and no in certain situations. And sometimes saying no will have just as much power over your life as saying yes. And then the third thing, just for me, that I'll touch on today that helps with this idea of getting things done, or being able to check off your list, or feeling like you can get through what you want to do on any given day or week, is actually having someone to support you. And I say this because I can never discount my husband in this situation. He is absolutely 100% supportive. We are a team in everything we do. It's, again, kind of a priority both of us have. And my example for this was actually yesterday. He had to work, and so I was with the kids. I took him to the pool for 3 hours, and you know how that can go. It's schlepping all the stuff and making all the lunches, and it was hot. I mean, it was an awesome, amazing time. We were there for 3 hours, and with the drive, by the time we got home, I think it had been 4 hours, and he was here, and I just wanted to rinse off, and I said to him, I'm going to go for a walk. And he said, okay. Like, no questions asked. I just wanted to go for a walk by myself for just a few minutes. And just all I heard was, okay, great, have fun. And it is so freeing knowing that you have that support for whatever you need. And it's the same if we have multiple things going on, I can say, okay, can you do drop off or pick up for this situation? And then if he says, oh, you know what, I can't do either, I have work, I don't get resentful about it, because I trust that we support each other no matter what we do. There's no bitterness around it. And I say, yeah, no problem. And I know he'll pick up for me the next time. And this can be your kids. It can be your partner. It can be a boss. It can be your parents. Whoever it is that may be affected by choices you make in your priorities, it is invaluable if they are truly supportive of that. And so I say that just because I could never have a podcast like this or talk about all the cool things that I get to do without saying that I have such a supportive partner that allows a lot of that to happen. And then the one thing I want to mention, again, if you're thinking, because I know we can't always change our situations, and it's easy for me to say because I do have this and I'm extremely lucky. I've also been in situations many, many years ago, a long time ago, when I was younger, I was in a situation I didn't have it, so I know what that feels like too. And so whatever you need to do in the situation that you're in to feel some support, and one thing I can say is make your needs known, because especially as women, we tend to not do that. We either don't make our needs known because we just don't. We don't think our voice is valuable enough to say it, so we don't make our needs known. And also when people do ask for help, we don't take it, because there were two things that happened when I got home yesterday. One, I said, I need to go for a walk. So I made my needs known and I owned them. And he said, cool, got it, have fun, support. So it wasn't just him saying, oh, you know what? You've had a long 4 hours. You look kind of hot. I'm going to get the kids a snack. Why don't you just take a moment? No, it wasn't any of that. So a lot of times I think we expect that. That doesn't always happen. We make our needs known and then have someone in your corner to support that. But don't be afraid to say what you need and then accept the help when it's offered. Okay, I've ended up talking so much longer than I planned to. Thanks for sticking with me. I am going to cover, because I promised to tell you the things I feel like are falling through the cracks. And especially, do you hear that? Do you hear the thumping? My kids are done with their quiet time, so they might pop in any moment. So one thing is time with friends. I value my friends so much, and I am not in this season of life. That is one plate that definitely falls. I don't feel like I'm able to make plans. The happy hours I want to meet them at and support them in their needs. And that's something I really want to work more on and also have open up a little bit more as time moves forward and life changes. So that's one thing that definitely I feel like falls through the cracks. So I do my best to message and text and even be on Instagram in the ways that I can. But I definitely want to have more time to do that in person. Another thing that falls through the cracks is self-care right now in the form of sleep. And I feel like I've been saying that for years. I want to sleep more. I would love to sleep more. I think my body would like me to sleep more. And then even times I try to sleep more, it's not very successful. So sleep, water intake, I'm always trying to work on. Those kind of things I definitely find fall through the cracks because I will prioritize work and those things that I can do at night, like after the kids are asleep. I will prioritize those instead of my own sleep. And I know that's not ideal. So that's something I would love that definitely falls through the cracks. And then the last thing are these big work projects. I have a couple big things on a wish list and a dream list that I want for Unlimited and Jessica Valant Pilates. And right now I feel like my time gets taken from all the day-to-day things, which again is great. I'm so thankful for it. I love what I do. I also really want to find some time to make those bigger things happen. And I'm in the midst of that, but it takes some brainstorming and it takes some time to really sit with thoughts and, figure out the step-by-step with that. And I find that time just isn't there right now. So that is something I'm really hoping for as seasons of life change, because there's some big things that I want to bring. And I also believe that that will come when the time is right. So thank you so much for being here and sharing this time and just kind of letting me ramble a little bit. I hope some of it resonated with you. I hope, as always, my biggest hope is that you aren't alone, that we're all in this together, that life moves forward in different seasons, and we will have seasons where those plates spin beautifully. We will have seasons where we have more plates than others, and we will have seasons where some feel like they drop and we just have to set some to the side. And I think all of that is okay. We just have to be aware of it and embrace the priorities that we feel we have in that moment and own our decisions and move forward with as much grace as we can muster. So thanks again for being here, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for joining me today on Meet Your Body. If you have a moment, please consider rating and reviewing this podcast, as it helps us tremendously. For more resources and workouts, you can visit my website, jessicavalantpilates.com, or find me on YouTube or Instagram at Jessica Valant Pilates.